Ambassador Lecture Series, Syria, Past and Present Cradle of Civilization, Wednesday, 19 January 2011, University of Indonesia. We are welcoming the Ambassador of Syrian Arab Republic, His Excellency Mr. Bassam Al-Khatib, the Honorable Chair of the Program of the Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies of University of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Lydia Freyani Hawadi, the respectable lecturer of the Program of the Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies of University of Indonesia, Professor Ahmad Ramzi Tajuddin, the respectable home-based lecturers of the Program of the Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies of University of Indonesia, attendance of the conference from Brawijaya University Malang, Sriwijaya University Palembang, attendance of the conference at University of Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to all of you. Today, we are very delightful to have the opportunity to hear a lecture series delivered by His Excellency Mr. Al-Khatib. On this special occasion, we have the chance to enrich our knowledge about Syria in general and about the past and present cradle of civilization in Syria in particular. As the opening session, let us listen to the opening remark by Mrs. Freyani. To Mrs. Freyani, I invite to the podium.
Your Excellency, Ambassador of Syria, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Since we are still in January, I want to wish everybody here a Happy New Year, and hopefully we will getting better in our lives as the year progresses. Today, we welcome Your Excellency Ambassador, Mrs. Khatib of Syria, in our 6th Ambassador Lecture Series and the first one held in 2011. Thank you for coming here, Ambassador. We are honored by your presence. Before we listen to the Ambassador, I would like to make a little introduction to Syria, as perhaps this country is still quite unknown to many of us, just like maybe Indonesia is not well known to many Syrians. How many people here have been to Syria? No? None. Well, hopefully, as the bilateral relationships between the two countries getting stronger, these two wonderful people will also know each other better. Syria is an Arab country. It is one of 25 countries that make up the larger Arab world. You might not know this, but 1 in 7 countries in the world is an Arab country with a population close to 400 million. That is almost the same as the population of the European Union. Now, for a quick trivia for the audience, try to answer these questions. The capital of Syria is Damascus, right? The population of Syria is around, guessing? Try. 22 and until 23 million, right? Now, can you tell me the most famous people of Syrian descent? It may surprise you. Among the most influential and famous Syrian descent is none other than Steve Jobs, right? As you know, Steve Jobs is the founder of Apple and the creator of iPad, iPhone, and the Mac. His biological father is a Syrian Muslim named Abdul Fattah Jandali, who is now a political science professor. So next time, when someone mentions Steve Jobs, you could say, "Hey, Steve Jobs comes from Syria," indirectly by way of his father. All right, I think this is enough introduction. Thank you very much. Now please give a warm welcome to Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Freyani. For the next session, we kindly invite the moderator, Mr. Ahmad Siddiq, to chair the lecture series.
Thank you very much, Professor Furani and the Ambassador Bassam Khatib and the elderly professors and all the audience. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is an honor for me to be given this job to chair this or to moderate this lecture. It's like coming home because I am also a graduate of this university. I joined this university in 1962 and the Faculty of Economics, the old building which is just behind here. Well, we are going, inshallah, this afternoon, this evening, to listen to the learned ambassador of Syria, or Charge d'Affaires, acting as ambassador, Mr. Bassam al-Khatib. When we talk about Syria, as we know, it used to be called Shams, Bilad al-Shams, which used to be anything above the Saudi Arabia. So Bilad is, when you talk about Bilad al-Shams, it includes Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine, which is now 4 countries. So out of the 22 Arab member countries, if there was no influence of others from outside, these 4 would have become 1 country actually, as Bilad al-Shams. Syria is. And I think the ambassador will talk more, but I have also the experience. I went to Syria first in 1968. In my last visit to Syria, I had a chance to visit this place called Bosra, which is the place where Rasulullah SAW used to go for trading. Before I visited Bosra, I thought Bosra was like a camp in the summer where people come to do trading and then leave after that. I was really very surprised to see and to know that Bosra is a very old city. It's a very old Greek city with a stadium, with a hammam, with everything which used to be in the Greek old cities. The city buried 10 meters below the ground for various reasons. The history, maybe some explosions, some things. They are doing the excavations and finding what used to be the old Bosra before. This is just one aspect, one little experience that I'd like to share. Of course, Damascus itself is the oldest inhabited city in the world, with its souks known as Hamidiyya souks and the masjid known as the Masjid al-Bani Umayyah, and also the seat of the important Caliphate of Umayyah, before it spread, Islam and Muslims spread to Baghdad, Abbasiyah, and to Europe. So I will not go beyond this point because I'm not the speaker. I'm honored, once again, I'd like to now invite His Excellency, Mr. Bassam al-Khatib. As you know, Khatib is very famous and big family in Syria, and he will talk more about it. Please, place and time is yours. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It's an honor for me to be among my brothers and sisters again. And I always say to my brothers and sisters in Indonesia, I chose to come here. Indonesia for me is that kind of love that comes from the ambiguous, but it enters your heart and stays there. Luckily, I was having a good relation with the Syrian ambassador, the former one, to Jakarta, and the Indonesian ambassador to Damascus, and both were brothers. Brother, after that, was my motto coming to Indonesia. I consider myself an Indonesian brother. That's why, once again, I would like to start by thanking the University of Indonesia, thanking my brothers and sisters, and if you allow me to give a special thanks to my sister Lydia for being the motive of my being here. Actually, let me start by saying that I would love to talk and to take advantage of talking to your senses, all senses. I know well that if I talk, you will listen to me. But if you allow me, I would like to try to make you live in history. So technically speaking, I asked my colleagues to start for about 12 minutes to show you something about Syria. And please ignite your imagination. Thank you. And then I will talk later.
منذ 7,000 عام تعلق نجمها عاليا شرق المتوسط، فأضاء الليل للبحارة والعابرين والتجار والقديسين والفرسان والشعراء. هنا البداية. في قلب سوريا القديمة ولدت أبجدية أوغاريت الأولى، ومنذ 4,000 عام كان شاعرها الواقف على ربوة في أوغاريت ينشد: هلموا إلي، الحق أقول لكم، الحرب مخالفة لشريعتي، لتنكسر أدوات الحرب وأسلحتها، وتصير سككا للفلاحين ومحاريث للزراعة. وهنا جرت أولى الألعاب الأولمبية في عمريت، ماراثوس. وهنا بدأت خطوات البشرية الأولى في الزراعة والفنون والديانات والتجارة والقانون. من هنا خطت الحضارة الإنسانية أولى خطواتها في مغامرتها الرائعة. ومن هذا الساحل وسط شرق المتوسط تدخل إلى سوريا، إلى قلب العالم ومخزن حضاراته القديمة. ومن البحر تصعد مع الشمس التي تلوح الجبال، التي تمد أرجلها إلى البحر مستريحة من ارتفاعها الشاهق. وهنا سحر عذري، يشهق الجمال والنقاء في أنحائه أن اتجه البصر، وترتفع على روابيه الشواهق فنادق وموتيلات فخمة تستقبل الناس ليملأوا المكان بصخبهم وحضورهم الحميم. وقد تحققت البنية التحتية المتماسكة لخدمة هذه الأماكن الرائعة في شبكة طرق وكهرباء وماء زلال يترقرق من بين صخورها في ينابيع عذبة أو معدنية فيها شفاء ودواء. من كسب المدينة الصغيرة الوادعة في حضن الجبل الشاهق إلى صلنفة التي تتربع على قمة مرتفعة تطل على سهول الغاب الخضراء. ومن البحر إلى صافيتا المدينة التاريخية ببرجها المرتفع، ودريكيش بمياهها المعدنية الرائقة، إلى مشتى الحلو الوادعة بين غابات الجبال المثمرة. ونصل إلى السفح الأخضر المذهل حتى انحدار الماء والجبال على سهول حمص وحماة وحلب. وعلى رمال هذا الساحل الذهبية أقيمت العديد من المنشآت السياحية من فنادق ومنتجعات ومسابح ومطاعم. يأتي السياح تجذبهم مواقع رائعة هناك، حيث يحلق البصر في مشهد لا ينكسر. بساط سندسي اشتغل عليه الزمن دهرا فشكله من كل لون. في ذلك المدى الشاسع تركت اليد السورية بصماتها الحضارية، من قلاع شاهقة إلى كنائس، إلى قصور وأبنية وسدود في سهل خصيب يمور بكل ما تحلم به العين. ها هي أفاميا، تلك المدينة الهلنستية المدهشة، حيث تجاور الإبداع السوري واليوناني. لعلك تسرح قليلا تبصر زينون الرواقي بين أعمدتها من حيث مر الإسكندر المهضم، تصمت قليلا لتنصت إلى نواعيها المدهشة وقلعتها وكنائسها ومساجدها وقصورها. لقد استراح التاريخ طويلا على ضفاف العاصي. ثم تطلق نظرة إلى فارس بهر الغرب الإفرنجي، إنه أسد شيزر، الأمير الشاعر، الفارس الطبيب، أسامة بن منقذ. وإذا ما ارتد طرفك إلى جبال مصياف الأزالية الخضرة، سوف تتشوق إلى حضور جلسة معرفية سابقة لعصرها مع إخوان الصفا وخلان الوفا. أو يمر بك موكب الزفاف الأسطوري لجوليا دونا إلى القائد سيبستيموس سيروس. هناك في روما أنجبت هذه الحمصية العبقرية سلالة من الأباطرة، ويرن عود ويغرد مزمار. نحن في الطريق إلى حلب، وهنا في المعرة مدينة العبقري، فيلسوف الشعراء وشاعر الفلاسفة أبي العلاء المعري، في بيته ومدرسته التي احتضنت عبقريته التي لا تفنى، وكانت مكانا لتأملاته وصوفياته العميقة. كلما هلل الروض قلنا حلب قصدنا وأنت السبيل. وتنصت لروميات أبي فراس الحمداني، ويسطع المتنبي شاهرا عبقريته على الدهر. الخيل والليل والبيداء تعرفني، والسيف والرمح والقرطاس والقلم. هذه هي حلب، سيف الدولة والفارابي وأبو فراس والمتنبي وابن الصنوبري. حلب المجد والحضارة، مدينة التجارة العظيمة والعلم، جسر الشمال إلى الجنوب. كان يبرك على أبوابها 10,000 جمل كل يوم. واليوم هي مدينة حديثة بفنادقها ومطاعمها ونواديها الراقية ومعاملها الشهيرة في كل العام. ومن هنا نذهب شرقا ليطالعنا الفرات العظيم بجلاله، حيث يروي ديار ربيعة ومضر في بقعة من أخصب بقاع الدنيا. هنا كانت عشتار تجد متسعا لتشع بسحرها على السهول، فيخصب داجون الحقول وينضجها شمش، لتمتلئ أهراءات العالم القديم بالخير والشعر والموسيقى والحكمة. وهنا الصالحية وحلب والرها والرقة البيضاء. هنا في وسط الصحراء تنتصب جوهرة فاتنة، إنها رصافة هشام بن عبد الملك، الذي كان يسير من عاصمته دمشق إلى هنا في بساتين خضراء وارفة الظلال. أمويون، فإن ضقت بهم ألحقوا الدنيا ببستان هشام. ومنها كانت الراية الأموية ترفرف من الصين إلى الأندلس، آبدة يجلها المسلمون والمسيحيون معا، ففيها دفن أول شهداء المسيحية، كما كانت مقرا للسادة العرب من الأمويين. وها هي وسط البادية تلمع جوهرة أسطورية، هي تدمر، عروس المجد الصحراوي، مملكة أذين وزنوبيا، الملكة الثائرة من أجل الاستقلال والمجد. هنا حكاية لا تملها الأيام، حكاية القوافل والشجاعة والتسامح والفن المذهل والمعمار العظيم، جنة القوافل والمسارح والمعابد، واحة تجار العالم في القرون الميلادية الأولى. وكانوا يقولون: إذا أردت لتجارتك أن تصل بأمان فارسلها مع قوافل تدمر، يحرسها طائرها الحر الباهر، والذي يموت كمدا إذا انتزعت ريشة من قوادمه. هذا وطن راسخ كالحقيقة، بادية ممتدة ذهبية الألوان صيفا، خضراء يانعة في الربيع. إنها رمز لاستمرارية الحياة على مر العصور بالرغم من بائنات الدهر التي مرت عليها. إنها قبلة الأنظار، السياح يأتون إليها من أصقاع الأرض. وتخرج من البادية غربا لتجد أمامك درعضية المشرفة على الطريق السريع الواصل بين دمشق ومدن الشمال والشرق. غربية جبال الثلج، وشرقية جبال البادية، وعبرهما كانت القطعان والقوافل لا تهدأ ولا يغيب رنينها. إنه طريق دولي يمر فيه عدد كبير من السيارات يوميا. على يمينه تلك الجبال المتوجة الفريدة في العالم التي كانت وهادها من أقدم ملاذات الإنسان. هناك في تلك البلدات المنحوتة من الصخور، معلولة، جبعدين، صيدنايا، الشيروبيم، ما تزال الآرامية لغة السيد المسيح عليه السلام محكية بين الناس كما اليونانية في حميدية طرطوس. أمكنة تختلط فيها الأنثولة بالواقع، فتراها بأم العين، تحاورك وتذهلك. بلى، أنت أمام الحقيقة المنحوتة بالصخر، أنت أمام اليقين. يأخذك الهواء المنعش النفاذ مسرعا إلى دمشق، أقدم عاصمة مأهولة في الدنيا، أكبر معبد وأقدم كنيسة وأكمل مسجد بناه الوليد بن عبد الملك. فشاع الإسلام الحضاري المتسامح من حدود الصين إلى حواضر الأندلس، وشاعت سمرقند، وازدهرت قرطبة. فيها أسس حنانيا كنيسته الأولى، ومنها خرج بولس الرسول لينشر المسيحية في العالم القديم. في دمشق يستريح التاريخ بهدوء كراهب متبتل يشهد على توالي الأيام، عاصمة لإنجازات الروح والعقول المبدعة، وهي مكان لا بد منه. فمن في هذا العالم ليس له زاوية قدسية في دمشق؟ المؤمن والفنان والباحث والصوفي والقادم ليملأ حقائبه بأجمل إبداعات المشرق الفخارية والزجاجية والذهبية، من نسيجها البديع وأوانيها الفاتنة وسيوفها ومنمنماتها. فدمشق حكاية الإنسان، ومرجع لكل ما يشغل قلبه ويلهم روحه ويبهج عينه بأوابدها ومنشآتها الحديثة واستثماراتها القادمة. وإلى الجنوب من دمشق لا تنتهي المغامرة التاريخية السياحية المشوقة. في شهبة أشاد ابنها الإمبراطور فيليب العربي روما صغيرة ما تزال على حالها، وعلى منقلها الغربي رفع أعمدة بصرى ومسرحها الأكثر كمالا الذي يتسع ل15,000 متفرج، وأشاد مستودعاتها المائية. وعلى بعد أمتار بيت الراهب بحيرة ما يزال شاخصا، ومبرك ناقة الرسول محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. كانت بصرى عكاظ الشام، وتحت أرضها ستفاجئك حماماتها الملكية المثيرة، وفي الأعلى شوارعها العتيقة وأعمدتها الباسقة. لم يبقى إلا أن يطل فيليب محييا أبناءها أو يرفع بحيرة ستارة صومعته مؤمنا برقة الناس. تفضلوا إلى بلدي، هنا الأمان والكرم والحق. ولا شك أنك إذا ما تجولت في حوران حيث تنتصب جبال الجولان لن تستطيع الفكاك من صهيل الذكريات. في اليرموك وجابية الغساسنة وصهيل الخيل وغزيمة الفرسان في أخصب بقعة في بلاد الشام. وفي جبل حوران حكاية أخرى نسجت خيوطها قرنا بعد قرن منذ آلاف السنين في قنوات والسويداء وتلك الأوابد الآرامية العربية الهلنستية الرومانية الإسلامية الباقية شاهدة أزليا. إنها سوريا منذ أن وجدت كانت وطنا للحقيقة والحق والمعرفة والحوار، وطن الأبجدية الأولى والمكتبة الأولى واللحن الأول والملحمة الأولى والمحراث الأول والمركب الأول ودورق الفخار الأول والمرآة الأولى والسباق الأولمبي الأول وأطواق الغار الأولى. أيها الوطن الرائع، إنك تستحق الكثير، فأنت من علم البشرية كل شيء تقريبا، كما يقول المؤرخ الشهير ويل ديورانت، وكما يقول الباحث العبقري الفرنسي أندري بارو محافظ اللوفر السابق: لكل إنسان متمدن وطنان، وطنه الأصلي وسوريا. تعالوا إليها، حاوروها، اكتشفوها، ولسوف تدهشكم بتاريخها وحاضرها.
I'm just waiting for the light to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite sure that you have something new about Syria, and now you have known something new about Syria. Then I would start by repeating a very famous saying: every cultured man belongs to two nations, his own and Syria. So despite your cultural background, you will go to Syria, because only in Syria all the civilizations that a man has heard of were in Syria. All were in Syria, and only in Syria. When my brother and sister started giving the introduction about Syria, I wanted to add some things, maybe diverse, but still could be mentioned. For example, the former president of Argentina is a Syrian citizen. Exactly. And the most famous philosopher, Abu al-Ala al-Ma'arri, he's a well-known Muslim philosopher. He was a counterpart to the Greek philosophers. He is also from Syria. And maybe not many people know that 3 emperors of Rome came from Syria, starting from Philippe, who was called Philippe the Arab. So even Rome, the empire, the great empire, was ruled from Syria. Currently, my sister wanted to mention Al-Jandali. Actually, the family Al-Jandali came from a city in the center of Syria where originally our brother, Mr. Ahmad, came from. Yeah. So now we have two prominent figures. One of them is in this hall, and the other one invented those things. This is once again Syria. In Indonesia, according to my knowledge of Bahasa, you could say the words Surya, Suriya, and then we have Syria. As a Syrian citizen, I accept the Indonesian meaning of the word Surya. Yes, wherever you go in Syria, you will see the sunny face of life. Actually, I wanted to give a small comment before I move to the other section of my lecture. Historically speaking, the name Syria derives from ancient Greek name of Syrians, which the Greeks applied without distinction to the Assyrians. But I would like to clarify that Syrians are different from Assyrians. In the old history, the Assyrians, the translation of the word Assyrians is Al-Ashuriyin, a people who lived in the neighborhood of Syria, in currently Iraq, and in a later stage of time, they came to Syria. So there was this kind of mixture in the name. But in the end, if you jump to the future, Assyrians are an important component of the Syrian society. I would like to mention something after what you have seen in the CD, that the climate in Syria, though dry, though hot, but it's very moderate. You could live there. Winters also are mild because of the country's elevation. Snowfall sometimes occurs in Syria. So, in some short words, you have all kinds of atmosphere in Syria. If you don't like the sun, you could go to the seashore. And if you don't like the seashore, the desert is waiting. If not, you like the urban cities, you have a place. If you spread this understanding about Syria, you could summarize it by saying, there is a place for everybody, anyone, regardless of the background. Maybe the CD spoke the word first many times, but it's true. It's only in Syria you could go to listen to the language of Jesus Christ spoken in daily life. Yes. Yes. Now in 2010. It's only in Syria you could go to the Roman auditorium of Busra to attend a cultural event. Now, it's only in Syria you live history in the present. It's not a metaphor, it's reality. It's only in Syria you don't care about the religious background because you have your place. All religions are there. All sects of religions are there. All mentalities are there. I end this summarizing by saying all civilizations have been there. So, yes, historically speaking, Syria has been and is the cradle of civilizations. I would love to say something that 4,000 years ago, the poet spoke about peace and said that it's not in my law. It's not in my law. We are looking for peace. And now I'm saying after 4,000 years, this is Syria, a peaceful country, a peaceful civilization, knowing that it had a very rich history and it's seeking a very rich future. Some figures because I noticed that Dr. Lydia wanted to make a kind of exam for people here. But still, I'm going to give you some figures. The official name is the Syrian Arab Republic. Yes, the population is about 22 million. And Jandali, though he is from Homs, the city well known in Syria for being very comic, if there is a joke in Syria, usually it comes from Homs. And they are very nice people in Homs. The capital is Damascus. The major religions are Islam and Christianity. They are dealt with equally. It's a normal procedure, a normal practice. Main exports are oil and gas and some food and some other chemical products. The monetary unit is the Syrian pound. The GNI per capita is about 3,000 USD. The code, of course, this is well known, 963. President is Dr. Bashar al-Assad. He is an optician, a young man, and you frequently see him in the streets seeking a place in a restaurant, having some food with his children, walking in the streets, and he is an example of Syria. This is Syria. Syria in general, when it comes to economy, is a middle income according to the classification of the United Nations. Developing country with a diversified economy based on agriculture, industry, and energy. The GDP, according to the classification of 2009, is $55 billion. The GDP growth is 3%. GDP per capita, as I said, about $4,000. The GDP by sector, the classification, agriculture 19%, industry 34%, and services 47%. Inflation is about 4%, unemployment about 9%. Main industries are petroleum, textiles, food processing, beverages, tobacco, phosphate rock, mining, cement, oilseeds crushing. Export goods, as I mentioned, crude oil, petroleum products, fruits and vegetables, cotton fiber, clothing, meat and live animals, and wheat. The partners, when it comes to main export partners, Iraq, Germany, Lebanon, Italy, France, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. When it comes to import goods, machinery and transport equipments, electric power machinery, food and livestock, metal and metal products, chemicals and chemical products, and plastics. Syria is proud for being a country that tries not to be in debt. It's a kind of policy. So historically speaking, we have our independent decision because we are not dependent on the aid of others. That's why we always feel sovereignty more than some others. Liberalization in the Syrian economy is moving day after day, and now the private sector is taking the most important share in the development of the country. I know that some of the brothers attending this lecture have been to Syria once upon a time. I just want to say now it's totally different. Although it's the nature of the Syrians to keep the past, we are proud of our history and our past. It's not very strange to tell you that when you go to Damascus or the cities you have visited, you will see the same places. that you have seen in the 60s, but well kept and among a modern atmosphere. I would mention something that has to do with Indonesia. When it comes to economy, I want to mention this thing that has to do with Indonesia. I know that there is a possibility to have some cooperation in phosphate. We are able to send good quality, good prices of phosphate to Indonesia, because I know that it's still a required item in Indonesia, and Syria is very rich in this. I have to mention something concerning the role of services in the Syrian economy, as long as it's getting now something like 30%. In Syria, you could enjoy the best of services when it comes to finance and economy. They are now doing very well, and I would love to mention that only 2 months ago, we successfully established a joint Indonesian-Syrian Businessmen Council, successfully with the help of the Foreign Ministry and the Ministry of Trade. They have started their job successfully. And now I'm calling everybody, if you need anything in this field, it is there. Another potential field of cooperation between the two countries is a remark I have heard. Unfortunately, Syria is not well known in Indonesia. Indonesia is not well known in Syria. And this is a big gap that I'm doing all my best with the help of my people in the embassy to fill. Please, Indonesians are most welcome in Syria, despite the goal of the visit. If you are trying to go for tourism, you are most welcome. If you are going for trade, you are most welcome. If you are going for learning Islamic sciences and maybe Arabic language, you are most welcome. Now I would seize this occasion to talk something about education, being in one of the most important educational institutions in Indonesia. The University of Indonesia, which has a very good reputation in Asia and in Arab countries. I would love to say that with the help of Sister Lydia and other colleagues from the University of Indonesia, we have started our cooperation to have something substantial in the future. I just want to mention something about the educational system in Syria. In Syria, and only in Syria, all fields, all kinds of sciences are Arabized. I think you will never find in any other Arab country. Come on, you want to study medicine? In Syria, you could study medicine in Arabic. You want to study religion? Yes, you could study religion in Arabic. You want to study Arabic understood in all Arab countries? It is Syria. Recently, we launched a new institute to teach religious and lingual sciences, mainly Arabic. And recently, and luckily, we were able to raise the number of Indonesian students to study in Damascus. So my message is, you are most welcome to study in Syria. And we are going to organize this more. After that, if you allow me to speak about the society in 2 minutes. Syria is a unique combination. all the components or the factors of a modern civilized society are combined in this Syria. Syria is very similar to Indonesia in the word diversity. Indonesia is bigger, and this is a fact. But we are very common in this word, diversity. Although in Syria, we do not ask about the background. Citizenship is the main factor. But if you are interested about religion, in Damascus, you will find the tombs of the most famous Muslim philosophers and Muslims ulamas. If you are interested about architecture, it's only in Syria you will find the combination of Roman, Greek, Muslim architecture in 100 meters. The example is the Umayyad Mosque. The Umayyad Mosque, one of the most prominent, how do I call it, Muslim, a Greek, a Christian combination of everything. Beg your pardon? Exactly. Thank you. You still remember this. In this mosque, it's a reality that it was built on the ruins of a church. But still, the mosque itself is surrounded by the Christian area of Damascus. This Christian area in Damascus is surrounded by the wall, the Muslim wall that was built around the city. In the cities, you will never be able to put or to make a difference between a Christian and Muslim background. This is Syria. This is Damascus. The door is open. Everybody is most welcome, especially brothers that we historically know, mainly Indonesians. Syria, just to mention this, was among the first countries in history to recognize the independence of Indonesia. From that time, the Syrian mind still believes that Indonesia is a brotherly country. For the future, it is a brotherly country. As a brother, I'm saying we should handle this gap of knowledge soon. Through cultural cooperation? Yes. Through tourism? Yes. Through educational institutes? Yes. Through mass media? Yes. Luckily, we exchanged an MOU between the two news agencies recently, and I hope within a short time, news will be exchanged between the two countries. I'm not going to take much of your time, but I have to mention something about the political situation in the region. Without going back to the far history, I would mention that our region suffers from occupation, the Israeli occupation of the Arab lands in Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. And when Syria and the other Arab countries accepted the initiative of Madrid Conference and went there, later on, we discovered that the Israelis are not serious in peace because they want instability in the region. I'm quite sure that I'm talking to students, professors, experts who watch TV. Simply speaking, if you want to know the truth and the being and reality of Israel, just turn on your TVs. I'm quite sure that you all remember Gaza. And you all know the suffering of the Palestinians. And you all have known about the wars of Israel against Lebanon and the killing of innocent people. And you have heard about the suffering of Syrian citizens in occupied Golan. And you know the practices of Israel. They are there to kill peace, to create instability, to make separation. But as Muslim countries who have real belief in God, we know that our religion asks us to defend ourselves and to defend our interests and to go to seek the help of our brothers. This is my message to Indonesia. Israel is occupying our land. Israel is not serious in peace efforts, the last of which was only some months ago. There were some indirect negotiations with the help of Turkey to do something concerning peace. Suddenly, the Israelis attacked the assistance vessels going, yes, exactly. And I just want to tell you that some 2 or 3 Indonesians were victims of this attack. Many Turkish people, unfortunately, exactly. So this is the reality of Israel. Once again, I would finish from the very point I started, or to tell the truth, from the Syrian poet started 4,000 years ago. War is not in my law. It's peace. Syria is a peaceful country, but Syria knows how to defend its lands, its people, its interests, its rights. We never ignore our rights. And we will be doing all our best to take back our lands. Of course, Israel should withdraw from all the occupied lands in Palestine, South Lebanon, and Syrian Golan. Syrian Golan is a dear part of Syria, and we will be doing all our best to take back our lands. We accepted the international legitimacy, the resolutions of the United Nations, and now we are clarifying this to our brothers of Indonesia. This is the truth of Israel. We would like to tell you that Syria is a stable country, peaceful one. Life is very nice. You are most welcome. Thank you very much.
Can I just add?
Please do, my brother.
Yeah. Just add something that you might forget. That actually in Damascus started all the Umayyad Empire from Spain to the border of China. Is that right?
I just wanted to keep your time, but I have an important part about this. It's not only Islam, to tell you the truth. The Syrians spread Islam to Spain, where Andalusia is built by the people who came originally from Syria during the Umayyad dynasty. The other factor, it's not only Islam. Saint Paul came from Damascus to spread Christianity in Europe. Not only Islam, also Christianity. During at that time, the city of Antioch was populated. I will tell you this. In the Roman Empire period, the city of Antioch was the 3rd largest city in the empire after Rome and Alexandria, with estimated population of 500,000. Just imagine this, 500,000 during the Roman Empire. Now the Church of Antioch is still there. I would love to give another example. In the neighboring brotherly country of Lebanon, there is the church called the Maronite Church. What's the Maronite Church? It's the Church of Maron. And who's Maron? Exactly, Maronite. But I'm just trying to explain what's the essence of this. The Maronite comes from Maron, the priest. Maron is a Syrian citizen who left from the south of Syria after separation of his brothers of the church there, left first north, in Aleppo, the north, and then he went to the south, and then he passed the borders to Lebanon. What I'm trying to say, my brother, I have not forgotten this, but if you want me to tell you more about the dynasty of Umayyad, I will tell you that the greatness of Islam, the spread of Islam to the world far from the Arab region comes from Damascus and during the time of the Umayyad dynasty from Syria. If you go to Spain now to see some beautiful ruins and some beautiful palaces, yes, this is the Syrian architecture. Once again, thank you for taking much of your time, and if you like, I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. Bassam Al-Khatib. We had also appreciated what was given as additional by Professor here. And we would like now, I think we have some times for questions and answers from the audience. Just before that, I would like to, I think, give a little remark. With all what we have heard about Syria, I think we all have a little homework to do. I think especially from the government of Syria and the embassy here, to make Syria more known. You have mentioned yourself that your embassy is trying to do that in Indonesia. It is, of course, your part of your job. But I think whatever we can do, we should also try to do. You mentioned that you have given more places for Indonesians to study in Syria, in Damascus. I would like to also request you to make Indonesia known in Syria by having some students from Syria to come to Indonesia, because this should be bilateral, should be exchange. So when they go back, they will be knowing Indonesian language. Indonesian language is used by about 300 million people in this part of the world. I would say this is the biggest potential for the future for the Muslim world, which is now still neglected or forgotten by the world. When talk about Muslim world, they only talk up to the Indian subcontinent, to the, of course, the core of the Muslim world, which is the Arab world, and the North Africa. They forgot that we have a big potential here in the East. So this, I'm sure many Syrians know about Indonesia. They have read about it, but coming here, studying here for postgraduate program, for example, even for a few months, for doing research about various aspects of Indonesians, cultural, historical, economic, and thing will add to this strengthening of relations and knowledge of each other, which will be helpful. And I'm sure this will be the same between Syria and other countries, because there are so many things which are about Syria not known by many other people in this world. So this is a little remark I would like to add from my part. Now I would like to invite our audience to give answers and maybe some comments, but basically answer questions if they have. May I have some? We have, I think, up to what time? Now it is 5:15. We have until 5:45 or what? Or 6 o'clock? 5:45. So we have about half an hour, I think. Yeah. Yeah. You like to ask the questions? Pak Tajul. Pak Tajul. Yeah, after our professor and you.
I think you also forgot to tell us that Paul started from Syria to spread Christianity to Europe. That's correct. but you forgot actually to tell the audience also that in Syria at the time when Paul spread Christianity to Europe, there was already a Unitarian church in Syria and in Chaldea, in the part of Iran. Because this is important history that is now being kept in the dark. And this is something that has to be opened up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, you like to answer now or together with others? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I'd like to also emphasize this point, why United Church is important, because United Church doesn't recognize Isa as the Son of God, but recognize Isa as a prophet. This is the Unitarian Church, which is also popular in America and many other countries. So this is why I think is somewhat closer to our faith, I think. Yeah. May I have now our young man there in the back?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Something about what you said about Israel intrigued me very much. Let's say, let me introduce myself. My name is Aidil Rizali. Okay, let's just pretend that I'm an alien. All right, I come from outer space and then I visit planet Earth. From Wikipedia, at least, I could see that the Arab world, yes, the Arab world, have more than 20 states, right? 20 countries. Actually 22, if I'm not mistaken. And with the population around 400 or 500 million, so and so. And their religion, Islam, is spread around the world with more than perhaps 1.5 billion people. On the other hand, if I see the Jews, their population around the world is only around 15 to 25 million people. Now, I had a conversation with my friend the other day. I asked him, do you know how many people live in Israel? Do any of the audience know how many people live in Israel? He said 500 million. I'm astonished because actually there's only around 7.5 million people who live in Israel, and 20% of that number is Arabs. They have mosques in Israel. They have around 8 to 10 mosques. While in most Arab countries, Jews is not allowed to come in, and there are no synagogues. Now, we have 25 Arab countries and only 1 Jewish countries. And we have 2 Formula 1 in Arab countries and nil in Israel. We have the largest mall in the world in Dubai, Mall of Arabia. We have the tallest tower in the world, Burj Al Khalifa, and we have the only 7 hotel in the world in Dubai, right? Now, Israel doesn't have all that. So, if I'm an alien, I would say that who's the victim here? Is it the Arabs and the Muslims, or is it the Jews? Because I understand that in Islam, Musa is a Jew. Daud is a Jew. Sulaiman is a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. So I think, and they are expelled, if I'm not mistaken, by the Arabs from the Jazeera, and they go around the world persecuted by Christians in Europe. And I think, as an alien, I think it's only fair if they can come home and make a homeland. And if you don't understand, most Arabs are killed by other Arabs, like the Palestinians. They are killed more by the Jordanians, and Iraqis and Kuwaitis kill each other more than the Jews kill them. Iraqis and Iran, both Muslims, kill each other. So if I'm an alien, I would say that the Jews have a right to live in their original place, just like the Arabs and everybody else. I think I've made my point. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think maybe we can these 2 questions first, and perhaps there will be also a comment from others about these two questions.
Yes.
In addition to like to say, if you allow, please.
Thank you for the questions I have heard. When it comes to the Bahasa and the knowledge to know Indonesia, yes, you are right. But if you want to translate this into substantial thing, I need some institutions in Indonesia to offer me the chance to bring Syrian people to study Bahasa. It's, to tell you the truth, after 1 year and a half of my existence in Indonesia, it was only last month I was able to find a scholarship for learning Bahasa. It was called non-degree course. Frankly speaking, being in this brotherly country, sometimes I am confronted with some bureaucratic procedures. I'm very sorry to say this, but this is reality. I tried to push the renewal of the cultural educational agreement between the two countries by the end of 2009, and so far the relevant Indonesian authorities are not responding, unfortunately. But if it comes to the wish, yes, I want my people to learn Bahasa. I would move to the other sub-idea here. Islam is not only an Arab religion. Let it be very clear. Islam is Rahmatun lil Alameen. And Rahmatun lil Alameen includes everybody, Indonesians and Arabs. I'm very proud to declare that I had the chance to meet with Indonesian scholars, Indonesian Muslim scholars. I'm very proud of knowing them. I will move to the other part. Maybe I am an old person who forgot many things to speak about Syria. Thank you for your help. But I can tell you that the richness of Syrian civilization is very big. That's why I forgot many things to mention. When it comes to the third point, maybe if you depend only on Wikipedia, you could adopt the vision of Wikipedia, but this is not objective. Having a point of view should go study, analyze, go back to history, know the factors of a change, of any historical change, and then you could give what you are saying is a point of view. We have nothing against the Jews, and we are against the mixing of Jews and Israel. This is something totally different. The Jews are in Damascus. We have Syrian Jewish citizens. Some of them immigrated recently in the last 10 or 15 years to the United States. I had the chance to meet some of them, and they said that they're eager to the days of Damascus and Aleppo. So let's not mix things. I'm here talking about the practices of Israel. I'm not talking about the practices of Jews. Let this be clear. In the United Nations, which I had the chance to work, we never mentioned something against Jews. If you study the history of religions in our region, the Jews are there. So let's not take one angle supported by some Western sources and adopt this mixing. This is different from the other thing. Let's talk about Israel. Jews are something different. So, you are analyzing the situation of the Arabs, which is true. They are separated. And unfortunately, it's not only the Arabs, it's also the Muslim world. My brother mentioned something, that the potentials of Indonesia could be a very important factor. And the answer is yes. I had mentioned in the first question that I'm a proud person to declare that in Indonesia you could meet prominent figures and prominent scholars. So that separation, that weakness is not only for the Arabs. What should we do? Islam tells us that we should defend ourselves, our lands, our dignity, our future. Through the history of Islam, Islam spread through defending it. It's not enough to sit at home to talk about the future. Concerning the comparisons I have heard, just I want you to read the resolutions of the United Nations. They all speak about the Israeli practices and occupation and terrorism. Brother, occupation is the worst degree of terrorism. When I spoke something about peace, I repeated that once and again. We started peace negotiations in 1991, but this Israel, and not the Jews, this Israel you are talking about ruined all the efforts for peace. I want this to be clear. Israeli governments are not serious in making peace. It's not the Arabs who killed some Turkish people coming to help the people of Gaza. It's not the Arabs who made the embargo for the food of children in Gaza. It's not the Arabs who attacked the capital of Lebanon and destroyed it. Yes, there is separation and weakness among the Arabs, but they are not killers. They are not occupying the land of anybody. Arabs, with due respect, just give me,
Yeah, I think
with due respect, it's not a question of numbers.
We'll you give chance to him, then you'll talk again later, okay? Yeah, we should have some kind of order, okay? Yeah.
With all due respect to your enthusiasm, we are exchanging. You give me the chance to talk. Please don't interrupt me. So once again, you could listen to me and give me your answer. It's not a question of numbers. Although they are 25, once upon a time they were not 25. It's not like this. I'm speaking about realities. I'm speaking about the change of the world. I'm speaking of the support of some Western powers to have Israel in the region. If the Arabs are 40, this means they are stronger? No. This means that they are separated. If Israel is alone, this means it's weak? No, because it's supported by Western powers. Things should be taken objectively, not through one source of information, not through emotions, it's through analysis. No single resolution in the United Nations against the Arab. But there are 100 now, 100 resolutions in the United Nations, Security Council and GA, against Israel, which is not implementing any of them. This is reality, my brother. Thank you.
A little bit more. that no Arabs expel Prophet Sulaiman,
Yes,
no Arabs expelled Prophet Musa,
exactly.
no Arab expelled Jesus, and other prophets. In fact, it is incorporated in the Quran. They are all prophets
Yeah, of course.
the Muslims.
Yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course. Not right. Not right. Not right. Not right. Once again.
Excuse me,
Okay.
I don't want to divert this topic of discussions today. We are talking about Syrian, what it has been and what is now and what's in the future. Yeah, okay, thank you. But I think I have a little point to also explain. The history has shown that there was a time in many, many centuries where the Jews were persecuted by the Christians in Europe. So no Christian country was accepting the Jews. The Jews have their own character. We don't want to go into it. Why the reasons, all those things. But it was the Arab countries which were hosting these Jews. And I have seen many of these Arab countries when I was working with the OIC and the IDB for nearly 20 years. There are Jews quarters until now in Morocco, in Tunis, in Egypt, in Aljazair, also in Syria, in Lebanon. It's not their homeland, so what they're allowed there. Until now, it's not by their own choice. They went to America, and many of them wanted to come back.
Yes.
I met them because I used to go every year for 10 years from Casablanca to New York, because my children were studying there. So I used to have this full plane of people, passengers, most of the Jews from Morocco, who used to go and back forth for their vacation, and they come very happily when they come to the Arab world. The problem that had created this thing is when the Zionists came, and they wanted to have these things, and in the way they did, those actually who had started the Zionists are the Jews who came from the Eastern European countries, as you know, and more politicalized and other things, so that had disturbed the harmony of relationship between the Arabs and the Jews, you see. As you remember, in 1898, there was a Basel conference in Swiss, where the Jewish elders asked for a homeland, you see. And they asked for Palestine, a place in Palestine. Well, actually, if I go this thing, it will be too long. Maybe I should not go further.
No, please. It's history. We do respect history.
Briefly, the Sultan of Ottoman, Sultan Sulaiman, the last, said, no, you can't settle there. It was not the Arabs. It was Sultan Sulaiman at the time who was ruling there. Because he knew what the Jews trick and what they wanted to do. They said, you can settle here in Istanbul, but not in Palestine. And said, you can settle in any of my empire. Ottoman Empire was still there at the time. And these Jews, all this, the Rothschild, big Jewish families, they were willing to give money also to some. So say, over my dead body, you will not be allowed to sell them. But then the Jews made a plan in Basel. They say in 50 years we will create Israel. And exactly 50 years later, in 1948, the state of Israel came. And you see the history all the way along. Many books have been written. It's not possible only because of their money. Of course, they had money power, but it was possible only because of the support by the British, by the Americans. You see, well, it is a different matter. I think we need to have a separate seminar about this, brother. We need to have a separate seminar about that. I'm just telling you, give little facts. Because whether they should have a right or not, who should say that? You can't say that they have right. I can't say the other way around. It should be discussed, you see. But I would like to suggest this will require actually a separate discussion, long discussion about this matter. But when this had happened, and they did, and this is very clear in the history. President Truman said in his memoir, this was the time when the maneuver was going on for the creation of Israel after the World War II. He said, I never had experienced so much pressure from the Jewish lobby in America for the creation of Israel during only by those teams. Now I've got here, yeah. As I said, they had been able to create this state with this forum, and until now, you mentioned if it had not been because of the support of America in 1967, Israel would have not been able to survive. Okay. Yeah, well, that is also another question. That's what you said, but whether everybody agree or not, and whether Israel or Jews is a different thing. Anyway, as I said, it's not. We have no time. This requires, a long seminar by itself.
Yes.
Now here we have a very Ibu Sri, dari Unsri, dari Universitas Sriwijaya. Oh, I see. We are now before them. So let's. Who's now going to moderate? Can we just invite somebody from the? This is from the university in Sumatra.
Most welcome.
This meeting is not only audience here, but audiences all over Indonesia. We
It's
have
very
in
clear.
Malang, in Brawijaya, and so please.
Please.
Can we have this question from University Sriwijaya, please? Dari Sriwijaya, dipersilahkan. Sriwijaya, Sriwijaya dari Unsri ya?
Go ahead.
Unsri ya, Palembang.
Dibesarkan itu.
Suaranya belum kedengaran di sini.
Gambarnya dibesarkan dulu.
Bisa dibesarkan gambarnya, tapi yang penting suaranya.
Halo.
Yes.
Dengar ya?
Dengar.
Oh, thank you very much. In Palembang, South Sumatra, watching the teleconference, we have been notified about the richness of the Syrian with its long and amazing civilization, yeah. But today, the Syrian, in my opinion, has a minor role in the Middle East politics, especially in connection with the crisis with the Israel country. Could you please tell me about more information about this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You like to answer that, please?
Yes, if this is for me.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Ada yang lain?
Ready? Or another question?
Ada pertanyaan lain dari Sriwijaya?
Tidak ada.
Okay.
No more question,
No.
please.
No, it's okay. I can give the answer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on the contrary, it's a well-known saying in the region. No peace in the region without Syria. On the contrary of what you are saying, the Syrian role is pivotal. It's one of the major roles in the region. You see, there is no single political development in the region without the help and cooperation of Syria. I would like to tell you that Syria is a founder country of the Arab League. All the developments in the Arab world should come in cooperation with the Syrian channel. Syria, for example, is having now an excellent relation with all Arab countries, and added to this, it has a unique relation with the neighboring powers like Turkey and Iran. I'm just trying to say in simple words, it's not minor. It's one of the biggest roles in the region. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you get the answer now from His Excellency the Ambassador. Dari Unsri ya, jelas ya? Ya Pak.
Thank you.
Yeah, the ambassador was relating that actually Syria plays important role, and recently we also see in the press and the newspapers the efforts by Qatar, I think, and Syria and
Syria.
Turkey on the issue of
Lebanon. It's
Efforts
only
by
an
Turkey,
example.
Syria, and Qatar.
Yes.
To solve the crisis. Now there's a crisis in Lebanon, as you know, and Syria is playing an important role. Yeah. Any other question from the floor here? We have, I think, only one more questions that we can, because we are supposed to close at 5:45. Now it is almost 5:45. Any question, please? Yeah, if we have no questions, maybe, do you have anything, any comments more to make, Mr. Ambassador?
Yeah, the comments are, or maybe it's a small comment. Once again, Syria is a peaceful country, looking for peace, but the other side is not. If you are talking about living in stability and peace, you should do something for this. Syria has done all its best with the help of some friends in the region, but the other side ruined these efforts. So it's only a question. If you are serious doing something, you should be serious having honest efforts. And this is not the situation for Israel. Thank you.
I think we'd like to thank the ambassador for his enlightened presentations, starting with the video, the DVD that was shown about Syria, development, past and present and future prospects. I think I would like to now return this to the MC. Yeah? Please, thank you. And I hope I was able to do the amanah, the trust to guide this meeting to some benefit for all of us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ahmad Siddiq. Okay, in the end of this lecture series, once again we would like to express our gratitude to have the opportunity to gain the knowledge regarding the cradle of civilization in Syria that was presented by Mr. Al-Khatib. And as the symbol of our gratitude, we will give a souvenir that will be presented by Mrs. Freyani to Mr. Al-Khatib. To Mrs. Freyani and Mr. Al-Khatib, please step forward to the podium.
The knowledge. You spend a long time seeking knowledge. And thank you for inviting me here to talk about it. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Freyani and Mr. Al-Khatib, please remain at the podium to take pictures. And Professor Ahmad Ramzi Tajuddin and all of the home-based lecturers are welcome to join them to take pictures at the podium. Thank you.